Timer control is a new control which you can place on any customizable out-of-the-box or custom entity form. A timer control lets users know how many hours, minutes, and seconds remain or have been exceeded against the specified date time field. This makes the timer control valuable for scenarios like SLA, where you want to provide your service reps with a quick way to see how much time is left before expiration. For example, if a timer control is associated with the first response by field on a case record, it will display how many hours, minutes, and seconds are left until the date time set in the first response by field. The timer control takes a date time field value as its time limit and uses 3 different option set values as criteria to judge if you meet the deadline or not. You can have multiple timer controls on a single form for different date time fields. The timer control can appear on forms displayed within the Microsoft Dynamics CRM web application or Microsoft Dynamics CRM for Office Outlook, but it's not currently available in CRM for tablets. Also keep in mind that this control is what appears on forms. Within a view you can see the date time column, but you can't show the same countdown experience that this control provides on the form. I'm going to demonstrate how to add a timer control to use in relation with my first response by SLA. So I have modified this to make it quicker to demonstrate. Instead of 30 minutes and an hour, I've done 1 minute and 2 minutes. And for updating the properties of the case, as part of the warning action, I have an action that's updating the first response SLA status field to nearing noncompliance. So when it gets to the warning period, it'll update that field for me, and I'm going to use that as part of one of my warning conditions in the timer control. So I'm going to choose to activate this. And now I'm going to set it as the default. So now I'm going to switch over to the case form. Just going to open up a case record and use a shortcut to get to the customization section. Choose the form editor. And we'll see that if I choose the insert option, I'm going to choose to insert it down here, but one of the new controls is timer. If I click this, I need to provide a name, and a label. Then I need to specify what is the failure time field. So what is the failure time date time field that's going to be looking at? I'm going to associate that with my first response by date time. This will show you any of the different date time fields on that entity. For success, I'm going to say that it's successful if the first response sent is equal to yes. For the warning, I'm going to use this in conjunction with that action that I did within my SLA. When it gets to the warning point, I had an action that was updating the first response SLA status to nearing noncompliance. So when it gets to the point where it updates the first response SLA status to nearing noncompliance, it'll go ahead and it'll show up with a warning condition in the timer control. It'll change the text and a different icon will appear. For cancel, I'll specify that I want to cancel this if the case is resolved. Hit OK. Save, and now I'll publish, and we should be able to go take a look at this and test it out on the form. Now I'm going to test creating a new record to make sure that that timer control is working as expected. I'll save the record, and you can see that by default the priority was normal, so it used that first response SLA status of 4 hours. Instead of making you wait 4 hours to see the results of this, I'll switch the priority to high, which will cause it to reevaluate that SLA. And now it recalculated the first response by, and now it's counting down to that 2 minute from now point in time. And again, what I did is, as part of the warning action at the 1 minute mark, it's going to trigger the warning action that's going to go ahead and update the case record. It's going to modify the first response SLA status field to nearing noncompliance. And that's what I have associated with the warning condition as part of the timer control. So we'll come back when this is underneath 1 minute, and you'll see that it shows with different colored text and a different icon. Because it is doing that change behind the scenes, I will have to refresh this form, but if you had it where you modified that field directly on the form, it would automatically switch. So I'll come back here in a second. You can now see that I've refreshed the form and it's under the 1 minute mark. It updated it to meet that warning condition. So the text has changed and I see a different icon. If I scroll down, if I switch it to meet that success condition, you can see it switches to succeeded. If I switch this back to no, it shows the continued countdown. Once it gets to the failure point, instead of counting down to this date and time, it'll start counting up to show the number of hours, minutes, and seconds that have been exceeded past that date and time. So you can see now the text changed to red, and it's showing that this is the amount of time that's elapsed since that date and time. One thing to be aware of is that even if this does hit that failure point, if I now go ahead and meet that success condition, it does switch to succeeded, and that is currently expected. That might change in the future, but this is the current behavior that you'll see. Another new feature in this release is the ability to create a schedule for your customer service organization, so SLAs are only applied during business hours. For example, if a customer opens a case on the weekend and your business hours are 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, the SLA calculation will be based on 8 a.m. on Monday. If you provide a 2-hour response time, the first response would be due at 10 a.m. Besides defining your normal business hours, you can also apply a holiday schedule, so those holidays are taken into consideration for SLA calculation. If you provide support in different regions, and the support hours differ per region, it is possible to create different customer service schedules and holiday schedules to accommodate your business needs. For example, you could have business hours in North America from 8 to 5 Central Time, and another customer service schedule in Europe for 8 to 5 with a different time zone. This way you could have an SLA for your customers in Europe that is calculated based on the local business hours. I'm going to do a quick demonstration of how to create a holiday schedule and then a customer service schedule. So first I'm going to create the holiday schedule. I'm going to define this for my North America holidays. So within that schedule I can define all the individual holidays. Then I can choose what is the date or the date range for that holiday. I can choose what's the duration. It'll automatically calculate based off the start and end date. Hit OK. So I could add multiple holidays here for North America, but for time's sake, I'm just going to leave it as just that one holiday. I'm going to go over to the customer service schedule section. I'm going to create a new customer service schedule. Create this one for North America, but again I could create different schedules for different regions if I do provide different hours of support based off of your region. I have the options of choosing the same hours of the day for each day, or I can have it vary by day and change it for each of the individual days, or I can provide 24/7 support. I'm going to leave it as the same for each day. I'm going to specify that we're not open on Sunday or Saturday. I do have the option here to observe a holiday schedule. So here, since this is my North America support hours, I'll associate the North America holiday schedule. Here's also where I can define what is the time zone that this is based off of. Here I'm going to choose that it's 8 to 5 Central Time that we're open. Hit save and close. Oops. Hit OK. I'm just going to leave the default of 8 to 5. I could choose to add breaks too, but I'm just going to leave the full time range from 8 to 5 and hit OK. Click Save and Close. Now we'll see that I have the ability to add this to an SLA. So I'm going to go back to Service Management, and my Service Level Agreements. I deactivate this. And now for business hours, I could choose that as my available business hours for support for this entitlement. So any customer that has this entitlement, their calculation will be based off of these support hours.